What's going on, buddy? It's Jeff here. Welcome back to the channel. All right, it's time for a complete and detailed trade review. I've gotten many requests of people asking for this. I'm going to break everything down for you, talk about the three main parts that go into this and where my head was at before I entered this trade, why I entered this trade, and really how you can duplicate it anytime this setup presents. So I hope this helps you guys. So first of all, this is the trade that I took, Q318 calls, went a couple days out. One, I don't like trading 0 days, and I actually went an extra day because I just really did not like the way the premiums were moving for tomorrow. Wanted to give myself a little extra time, but generally I like to go either the next day or 2 days out. And so this is exactly where this trade comes from, just before 10 a.m. So let me break everything down for you. I've been talking about the futures for quite some time. I was looking at them, and we've had this 4150 magnet, right? Where we were just range bound consolidation for quite some time. We broke through it and we bounced off another critical level, 4,000 being below that. And it looked like we were starting to curl up, as you can see here. Now, we did have some good earnings. We had Microsoft come out with positive earnings. Google came out, and then last night Meta. We kind of had came down in this level right at close and really bounced up through this. And I said to myself, listen, anytime there is this period of consolidation, right, where we have a strong support and we break through that, a lot of times the chart is going to turn around, come back and retest that, right? Once was old support, wants to act as new resistance. So I did have a little bit of bias in the back of my mind. I'm very open to always playing the downside, okay, and never really being glued to this bias. Okay, but it was in the back of my mind. Now, looking at pre-market, we did have GDP numbers come out, and it did yank us down a little bit, but we really quickly covered it. And I noticed this very quickly. Q had this 315 level, right? And you can see here, we broke through that and immediately recovered it. Then it acted as resistance. We came back, we sold off, but once again acted as resistance. Then here we are, after 2 times acting as resistance, we broke above it, right? So once again, like I said, we just talked about a larger time frame of the futures wanting to go back and retest some of those higher levels, which is really exactly what we're at. I had 41.24. I mentioned to everybody inside the group, but on a little bit shorter of a time frame, we have this Q315. We came up, we held it. Now I'm looking for this level to hold, right? So let's go in even further. I've got that in my mind. I've got all my lines and indicators drawn on here. So here we are at market open. You guys see this blue line right here, and I'm telling you guys, put this on your charts. Yesterday's high, low, pre-market high, low, always have those levels mapped out. I also do, chart on Thinkorswim, so I have a couple different levels over there, including pre-market high and low. But I saw we were still basing and holding above yesterday high. Now you see this purple rectangle line. If you guys watch my videos, we talk about supply and demand. These are levels that we have, once rejected off of. So we come back up early in the morning, we reject. We try once again and we reject. But here's the thing. We rejected off that zone twice, which is normal. I wasn't confident enough to take puts off of that rejection because our EMAs were still curling up. We were showing that we wanted to go back and retest, and we're still above yesterday's high. But here we go. We get down to this third time frame, which is really right when I took this trade, and we couldn't get any lower, right? So chances are we're holding on this, not being bears aren't being able to bring us down any bit lower. I have yesterday's high, and then here we are, boom, once we get through it, and it was just off and smooth sailing. The other thing that I was looking at, and you got to keep this, in top of mind, guys, is what are the main tickers doing, right? What are the big dogs doing? You got Apple, you got Microsoft, even Tesla, but really Apple and Microsoft are number 1 and 2, the most heavily weighted individual tickers inside of the indices, which is your SPY and your Qs. Well, if you look on this left chart right here, Apple was bullish. Okay, I'll zoom in just a bit for you guys. You can see it came up. Apple was bullish. We popped up. And once again, here we are, pre-market high retest right at 10 o'clock. I know this might be hard to see. You can go check it out on your charts. 10 o'clock. So I said, listen, this is perfect. Apple came up. It's showing bullish strength. It's pulling back too. I've got my pre-market high. And just so many things that align. And Microsoft, which, is this, chart up here, was just completely ripping, right? So I had both of those things in the back of my mind. I had yesterday's high on the Qs. Okay, right here that was holding. I had my EMAs that were curling up, showing that, listen, we're going to, the chart wants to go back and retest. I have Apple strong, Microsoft strong, and Apple was pulling down to that pre-market high, and everything lined up just to give me a really, really good risk to reward. Okay, so currently those options right now are trading at, I want to say they were at like 265. All right, so now they're about 260. I scaled, probably about 85% to 90% of my position. I just have a few runners, and I probably will peel them off, because eventually theta is going to kick in, and I do think we will start to get to a point where we get a little bit exhausted, especially with 320 coming up. I have another big level right here, 318.68. So I will peel those off, probably very, very shortly. But I always want to leave, some runners to give me the opportunity to maximize out of this trade. I secure some profit, and I continue that to keep going, guys. Combine that with, actually, we got some long triggers on the algorithm coming through. This long came through at 10:06 a little bit before, but this one came through at about 9:48 candle close. So we're talking about like 9:51. Just gave me that confirmation that, listen, my algorithm, is showing me that we want to go long. You've got other, everything else I just mentioned. Apple was retesting that pre-market high. Yesterday's high is holding. Very good risk to reward. Now, like I said, guys, that trade could have easily, failed on me. And once we had broken below this, if we didn't, get a bounce, I would have cut and gotten out of the trade. But just those three pillars, together really quickly, putting them all together really gave me a good risk to reward to be able to take this trade. So, guys, I hope that helps you. Just remember, guys, pre-market high, low. Yesterday's high low, they act as really good indications, especially once we're getting out of a range day. Yesterday was just that really big chop day. I'll zoom out for you guys too. Just a really big chop day. We kind of just were range bound. So once you get out of that little bit of range, a lot of times when it comes an outside day, we got a nice little trend move to the upside. So guys, I hope this video helped you. I will see you in the next one.